I'm a week from Friday. We go to the Virgin Islands, so
Ooh.
I'm right there with you.
We are.
I will
live.
not lose those tickets.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. The roll call will provide myself. I am here. Erin Bosworth.
Here.
Dr. DeBellis is absent. Jen Lowe.
Yes. Here.
Jonathan Pasqua is absent. And Tim Pimentel.
Present.
Present. And Ben?
Here.
Here. Excellent. A quick review of the evacuation plan is to our rear side. Door number 3. We are not approving the minutes from last period because we had a recording issue. Motion by?
Make a motion.
Tim? And can I second that?
Yeah.
I'll second.
What are you making the motion? You don't need to approve.
Well,
So
we don't have
not
to approve.
approving.
Is that okay that we're not?
We don't need
Yes,
to do
it-
Robert's
Just
rules.
drop
Okay.
it.
So just
Yeah, it's okay.
drop it.
Next.
Okay, excellent. Stephanie did send out a meeting schedule for 2022.
Yep.
I think it's difficult to ask if everyone's going to be unobligated many months ahead, but everyone can confirm that they've received that, and we can just add to calendar.
Sure.
Okay.
These dates were all subject to the dates available on the calendar that were not already booked for other meetings.
Terrific, and they seem to be fine with me.
Yeah, we should be good.
That we should be well. Okay.
Do we actually need approval of the schedule then? Town council does, but I don't know. about boards and commissions.
I don't know that there's a requirement to. This is less formal, but if you want to adopt it, the proposed schedule, then you can.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed schedule.
Okay.
A second, since it does say approved on the minutes, which is also a public document, we probably should do. So I'll second.
Jen and
that.
Tim approved. Okay. And voted by?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I think we had touched on the topic previously, but with the departure of one of our members, I think we came to term that it would be acceptable to continue forward with the number of members that we have today, and should we post an available,
So we can mention it.
Position or
Yeah, we can mention it at the town hall meeting on Monday, and then just to check. So I think the EDC position needed 7 full members, right, Ben? Not 9.
Yeah.
Just 7. Okay, so I can also post something on my page. Anyone else that knows people can post it.
Can we do that personally? Can we reach out to, or is it, or does
I would
it need
encourage
be,
you to, yeah.
okay. I didn't know if there's something that I could suggest, or just have them
Certainly.
come in to see you or Jen.
And where should we kind of direct or appoint somebody that might be interested?
So under the charter, I have the authority to call the appointments for this commission.
Okay.
I think once the town council stands it up, I think you can function more or less on your own. And so if you have any referrals, do they need to go back to the town council for interviews? Do you want it to go through that, or can we just nominate someone and I'll meet with them? And
well, I think it's more than just nominating, right? Because it's like they have to want to do it.
Of course.
So
well,
technically,
as far as the vetting, you steer my way. I'll vet them, and
I think that sounds fine. So
appoint
for
them
example,
if-
they do need to fill out the application on the website.
Of course.
And then,
first.
so maybe we can give Joanne a heads up that if we get someone that comes in, she can send it your way.
Okay.
So yes, I mean, I don't think it hurts for us to look for someone else.
Okay. However, if we do make a personal recommendation to someone professional, we forward them to Joanne, who then can submit to us or them the application. We can just.
There's a website link.
Okay.
It's right on the page where it says boards and applications.
Okay. So I'll use
boards
Boards
and
and
commissions,
commissions. Yeah.
applications.
boards and commissions.
Yeah, so I think we can
Yeah, it's in one of the drop-down menus,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
just post the link. I don't mind forwarding it to everybody after this.
Okay. Excellent job. Thank you. So I think a few months back, we were still a bit uncertain as to whether or not we had some great ideas that everyone was kind of throwing out there. And, Ben, you were more or less kind of trying to steer us through with the knowledge that you had. But as far as the monies, have we gotten any further clarity as to how they can be used? I think, some of us, including myself, talked about infrastructure incentives for small businesses? And have we gotten any clear as we come into the end of the year as to how that can be used and to what
Yes,
we can?
the
Okay,
finance director, Lisa Mills, will be making a presentation next Monday at the town council meeting.
next Monday.
And it's not she's kind of stretched to her limit trying to pull it together as it is, but it's very clear that and consistent what the rules are about how that can be spent. What's not clear is how we want to apply those rules and use the funds here in Coventry.
Okay.
So she'll have that presentation on the 22nd. Our goal and hope is to have a kind of a roadmap for how we're going to implement it. And I think we'd like to have a public hearing on December 20th for getting public input. There's also the opportunity to do some web surveys and maybe push it out a little bit. But at this point, we're not as, I don't know, we don't have time for it as like we wish we did.
Personal insight, as the governor and the Rhode Island Economic Development Committee pushes forward and, you know, monies are being used and the governor's made some announcements as to how that's being used. Would the state level accessibility to those funds and how they can manage that be the same for town? Or do you think the town and city regulations and guidelines would be different to the state? And this is just a personal question, as I've, you know, been just watching the news, doing some research of my own. You know, they've been very clear about monies that they've gotten for COVID relief, and then, you know, that this was a part of the budget assigned to give to. And you think that would differentiate itself from a state to a town or a city?
Yeah, there are different rules for
Oh,
what
there
the
are,
state
okay.
can spend versus what the town can spend.
And then on what?
So for the town, the
Meaning,
rules,
just meaning that on what they can spend it on would change too.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's different parameters, whether you're a titled city or non-titled, or I don't remember the exact wording, but we're one of the exempt cities that we don't have the population criteria to get a direct disbursement. So we're getting disbursements through another channel, but the town of Coventry will have almost, well, over $10 million total when the final disbursements come in. I think we have 5 or 6 million now received, but we can't spend it until we do our public input, public engagement outreach.
So those guidelines have come through, or were they always in place? Has it been, you know, because I don't think we had talked about that before. Has that been insight that we've gotten now?
We had a presentation from the state back in June that outlined all those rules. And those rules haven't changed, but what has changed is the understanding about the level of effort to comply with those rules, because federal money needs to be tracked and proven that it was legitimately spent or for on the purposes allowed. And so there are some areas that are very ambiguous, like, you know, choosing if you were to do a business incentive program or a business kind of hardship program. How do you define that? How do you pick between businesses, and how does the business prove that they suffered whatever impacts? And how do we then not have the feds audit us and take back the money and say you didn't spend it right?
Okay.
So we want to stay away from the areas of higher liability with more ambiguity, and we want to focus on areas that we know we can prove. So one of them is municipal lost revenue. The state took $1.1 million out of our disbursement last year. That's 1.1 million we can put back in.
When you say disbursement, you mean the DMV?
Yeah.
The motor vehicle, I should
Motor
say.
vehicle. So that is funds that we can use because it was cost, you know, lost revenue reimbursement, because that was the expenditure. Now we can use that on anything.
Okay.
So that's high value money because there's the least strings attached and it's easiest to prove. The next one is infrastructure. Anything for water, sewer, or stormwater gets a free pass. And this town definitely
We may have some
has some
use
projects
there,
in those
yeah.
areas. And they're easy to document, plan, and complete. Well, technically. The,
Can that also,
yeah.
excuse me, could that also be used to help to push or expedite an existing project forward a little bit? So if monies were allocated to an existing project, to sort of get it to the finish line quicker? Or would that be something?
in theory,
entirely
yes,
new?
we don't have any projects
Okay.
to push.
Okay,
There's no capital improvement happening right now.
all right,
And
Okay.
there's many reasons for that. But I think maybe as an action item on this, it would be helpful if you could either watch the session on Monday, or even afterwards. I mean, I'm gonna be there, and we record the sessions. I can forward out and say, hey, at minute 92, we go into this, so watch the next 10 minutes kind of thing. So I can send that out next week.
Yeah, if you can do that, because I won't be available.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to watch the 4-hour meeting.
Oh.
What
But
time does it start?
6:30.
the public session will start at 6:30. But like Ben said, so we're gonna have an actual
It'll be
public
covered in
session.
the first hour, I'm pretty sure, but
We need to,
present here or across or
here.
yeah,
okay.
just over here.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to have a public session where I think it's actually a public hearing, right? Where we open it up to the public
Mhm.
and hear from them
That's what we'll
directly.
do in December, maybe, or January.
What-
Whenever we
yeah.
get our act together, we will schedule a formal public hearing to take public input, but I don't think that's going to be quite sufficient for a practical level of input, because we only get a couple of people ever coming to the meetings and most of them don't comment. So I think if we do a push and ask for more public input and leave, maybe surveys at the library desk and at the rec department and police and human services, we can at least get a bit more feedback and go from there. But once we have that feedback, essentially, I see a 3-phase process. One, staff presents kind of the menu of options. The town council seeks public input on those options. So there is a boundary of
That's
what
good.
we're looking for.
Yeah.
That way we're not getting people going way off the reservation.
They're gonna
And
err.
then when we come back with that input, then the town council can put it all together and put together their plan and say, okay, this is how we're gonna expend the funds.
Okay, when we had last discussed it, I know there was some urgency, and these are just questions just for understanding. There was questions about having to then spend so much money by the end of this fiscal year. Has that been pushed out at all? Or is there still, because it
we
seems like
have
there's such a
until the
formality.
End of 2024.
Oh, okay. It was kind of understood that would be the end of this year, that
No.
money would have to be spent. So the
Well,
guidelines have been given, the public comment.
The fiscal year for the town is different than calendar year.
Oh, okay.
So fiscal year ends 30 June, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So just as, yeah. just
Oh,
a heads up.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you. The feedback process electronically, surveys, things like that. Can something be done where we advertise through that there's sort of that there's some platform that can be used, and then maybe something can be done on the town website where someone can submit a more validated, so that you're not getting a lot of erroneous and Karens and things like that. But can something be done where you tie in someone's name to a tax ID or something, so that we're getting valid?
So that they're not from West Warwick or West Greenwich.
Yeah, or just because I think with social media being the way it is, and this gets out there, right? People are going to be. But anyway,
I've
just to
had
kind of tie
former
something.
residents in other states respond to surveys.
Correct.
It's not uncommon because they all go to the website or the Facebook page or whatever.
Sure,
So,
sure. Is
I-
there an opportunity that way? Because I'm just thinking about the manpower to
Yeah,
sort
I
through
mean-
surveys, and
Well,
it would be so great to do something electronic where.
I think I can handle the manpower, because honestly, I'm not expecting more than 30 surveys.
Well, sadly.
People, it's not something you get a lot of. Even if it was 300, I could take an afternoon and get through that.
Okay.
But
Could we reach more people if they didn't have to go pick up a survey somewhere, and then they
I
could
think
just
it's
go
the
run
other
to
way
the.
around. Well, it depends.
Okay.
It really depends on what people's appetite and interests are and how we structure the survey and what tool we use.
Mhm.
But until I know what questions we're going to ask, how long of the survey it is,
Okay.
I don't know whether it's going to be a quick blip survey monkey,
Mhm.
Google survey, you know, what technology, what tool.
Yeah.
Familiar with
how- how
SurveyMonkey,
much
it's, you know, I bet you are too. It's
pretty
fairly
easy.
reasonable.
Yeah.
And you know, it's very user friendly, and then it compiles the, you know, the analysis for you. So you
I
don't
think-
just really sift through anything, you just pull it right up.
I think
I'm
to
just
his
getting-
point, depending on the questions, it might
Yeah.
be difficult to administer it that way, especially
And
feedback.
if you want open-ended
Right.
answers versus pre-selected answers.
And you can open some of them up. I'm just getting to the point of just trying to get some value
Hmm.
out of the initiative, you know, so that we could potentially
Right.
tap into, you know, business owners, property owner, you know, just getting more value out of it. That's all, you know, rather than sadly getting 6 to
We want to
10.
get all the value we can.
Right,
absolutely.
right.
But if there's
just-
gonna be parameters
Yeah.
put in, you know, I mean, I think that goes to help your concern. And, you know,
Mhm.
this is what we're, you know, considering. And while you may have 101 incredibly great ideas, these are the ones that, you know, are doable for the town, you know, and therefore, which ones, you know, would you like to see
I
happen?
mean, if we have on the survey that they have to put in their street address, and do we throw out 13 surveys because they didn't fill in that field? Or do we just take the input and go, okay, so there's 13 more people that want
Mhm.
X.
Right.
And you can value, I mean, you can
I
assess
mean,
the
it's
value
all
of the
relative.
feedback.
You know, surveys are input. And
Yeah.
so even if they're not residents, it's input. Maybe you don't live here in town because you live in Situate, but you have a business here in town and you still want to answer the survey.
Yeah.
Which would
I'm-
certainly apply. Yeah.
Sure, so.
Well, that's where
just-
EDC can come in and say,
Just
and
getting
reach out
vetted.
to some businesses or do something,
Right.
depending on what you end up
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
So can we maybe talk about what we're gonna do then? So do we have a December meeting, December 16th?
Seventh,
Thursday?
Yes.
Sorry?
it's December 7th.
Is it
Oh,
December?
I think that's for
The
20,
2020.
this is 2022, I think, though. So for what about this year?
That's what I'm saying is
It
like,
should be the third
It got-
Thursday in the month, right?
the third Thursday would be like Christmas Eve. So I think that's why we were looking at a different time for the December meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
Tuesday, December 7th is what we had to move it to.
Oh, okay.
December 7th, okay. So how about before then? We'll have everybody take a look at the YouTube once it gets out next Monday night after your and Lisa's presentation.
Absolutely.
Number two, I think it would be helpful. I can send out the presentation from the state that we have them do back in the spring. I'll send the link for where that is to everybody, so you can take a look at that as well.
Okay.
From the state level, I think it'd be interesting to see from an EDC perspective what they're doing. So I'm not really sure how we do that, but is there something, did you see something online, or where can we get a little more information on that?
I was just pulling stuff offline and, you know, just really doing some research to try to understand more of what the state was doing. And the governor's made several announcements publicly about doing different initiatives, of which were being funded by monies from the COVID relief fund or something.
Okay,
Very interesting things like, you know, safe drug house uses, you know what I mean? Like a lot of these interesting things were very on a very wide spectrum, but in fact, we're being leveraged through COVID relief money. So, but yeah, let me, I was unsuccessful at one point trying to reach out to the Rhode Island EDC. And again, have you made any contacts at that level with anyone? Just, I know you could probably very micro here. Let's maybe try it again. Do you have any, Tim? Is there any reference points to the airport corporation?
Not so much
outside
for-
of the Rhode Island.
Not
EDC?
in the straight EDC. I mean, you know, the tourism side, sure.
Yeah.
There's
The
been a lot of
receptionist filters a lot of
lot of
stuff.
turnover over the years. I mean, I used to know some folks.
Yeah.
They were all
Andrea
fine.
Adamo was a vital person there, but she retired some years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
so how about
Maybe
this?
just taking a ride up. I'm almost thinking just trying to go into the office and just trying to introduce myself and, you know, just trying to get some further insight. Yeah.
Yeah, so can I talk with you offline about that? We'll figure out how to
Sure.
get our foot in the door.
Sure,
And then,
sure.
if we
Maybe some
find
state
any,
reps or-
yeah, I think we have some tools that we can use to
Okay.
do that. So
Sure, Jen.
we can chat offline and figure out how to make the introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think on the if we can, if there's articles or things that we're seeing come out at the state level, maybe we can send them to Ben to send to the group, because I think it'd be interesting to see what the state is specifically doing for, economic development related items.
Mhm. Okay.
Still specific to the COVID.
For
funds.
COVID money.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly.
What about the 1% hotel meals stuff? I'm sure that we took a hit. Everyone took a hit during COVID, I would think, no?
For
The hotel,
Hotel
not the
tax,
meals. Yeah, like the 1%.
transient occupancy tax, I don't even know.
Does that apply?
That's
Town level?
I don't know about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it as a revenue or even talking about it in the budget. Maybe it's just one of those things that come through and we take it for granted, but
Okay. I mean, it's probably not a lot. I mean,
We
there's not a
don't-
lot of hotels, but I mean,
yeah,
there's
I
a
don't
couple
think we
up in
have
center
enough
New
to
England.
really- well,
Mhm.
everything on the south side of the road is in West
West
Greenwich.
Greenwich.
Right.
So we do have the two on the north side.
On the food and beverage side, though, would that apply to the food and beverage side or just the
I don't know.
accommodation?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just know that there's like a 1%,
Yeah.
a hotel, whatever.
And
I
it may
thought
just go
this-
to the state.
And it goes to see, but they're supposed to reimburse it
Back through?
back to the towns, cities and
And
towns.
maybe it goes not to the towns directly, but goes to the,
I know the
South
tourism,
County tourism.
yeah,
Gotcha. Mhm.
because that's usually how they fund those.
I don't know, like I said, I just kind of crossed my mind, so,
Yeah, no, it's,
I mean, if it was
But if
down
we-
50%,
if we were to
I mean,
have
that's
our
it,
own-
obviously.
yeah, for 70, yeah.
Business association and tourism, then we could get it maybe apportioned for Coventry to come back here, but.
All right, so we're gonna move on to discussion point D. And Erin, if you don't mind, may I
Yeah,
hand this over to you?
yeah.
Okay.
So a couple ideas that I've seen happening in other cities and towns locally. The first one is a nice Apple idea, but I've seen it done on Block Island with little orbs, as well as I want to say it was Warwick that did, maybe not Warwick. There was another town anyway that basically had apples, and they put them all around a hiking path or a hiking trail that they had. And if you found an apple in walking, you could keep it. And it was all, everybody kind of went and did it. I know for the orbs, they do it a couple times a year on Block Island.
My daughter found one this summer.
And it's
Oh, really? Yeah.
a lot of people go. I have a few groups of friends that went there 2 or 3 times just to ride around and look for orbs when they knew it was going to be put out the next group of them. So I don't know if we
My
can.
other 2 daughters were not so.
Not so lucky. I don't know if we can look into something like that where we can.
A
come up
similar
with-
idea I read about, I think it's a town in South Carolina or Georgia. They had cast iron bronze mice that were affixed to different places throughout their downtown. And some illustrator did a children's book called Mice on Main Street.
Oh,
And then there was kind of a map and a treasure hunt, and people would go around and find them. And if you found so many out of 20 or whatever, you could go to the convention visitors office or chamber office and get a coupon or get a gift or whatever. And it was just a very interactive, keep people
Yeah.
being involved with the town.
I mean, it allows others to come here and then hopefully shop local businesses and things like that while they're here on their way out.
Is that the same as, it says, and a story walk? Is it the same?
So a story walk, I've done one in East Greenwich, and there's a new one that's in South Kingstown, and it's basically either on the bike path or on a hiking trail as well. And it's a path throughout the way. It's different pages of the story. So there are these big towers, and it looks like an open book. And the library hosted the one in East Greenwich specifically. And throughout different seasons, they changed the book and what it was. And you go through, and every time you get another one, you can read about it and, get to the next level. And so you get to the end where you learn about the end of the story. So another idea, I don't know if it's a possibility, but gets people outside and exercising. And
I like that Apple idea because of all the trails and everything we have. That could be a great partnership with like the land trust and with the conservation boards. to get some more volunteers involved.
Yeah.
I do see the question, can we have the ability to implement something like this? It's not, I don't think it's necessarily that we would personally implement it. I think it's something that we take to Ben and say, is this something that we can look at having the town implement? Or do we take it to the council and ask them to prioritize so it gets put on the list, something like that? It wouldn't necessarily be run out of the
Right.
committee. We could help
Like
volunteer for
Parks and
things.
Rec.
I really see this committee, like other committees, being an advisory board of the town council to say, hey, here's what we think could be really important to consider and pursue. And so something like this, like a story walk or the Apple idea, we'd like to see the town have a program that's going to pursue this because it will promote health, wellness, leisure, entertainment, and businesses. And maybe they find their little token and they redeem it at one of these businesses, and then you're getting foot traffic and whatever.
Right.
And the town council would say, okay, how could we have, who could we have do this? Well, a story walk, maybe that's a partnership between the library and Parks and
Parks and
Rec,
Rec, yeah.
or maybe that's all Parks and Rec, but we need to invest in our Parks and Rec program to give it the capacity to do these things, because it's been pretty much gutted over the years and it's on life support. So if that's a priority that we stand behind, we start bringing in these justifications for where the town should set its priorities.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
And if there isn't capacity in the staff, maybe this is something that, and I'm going to just, maybe businesses want to take this up on their own rather than waiting for someone from the town to come and ask for a donation or contribution to this or that program. Maybe they run their own.
so let's talk about these two ideas and what we want to, maybe what we want to see.
I think the Apple idea, just as an example, if it was tied into some token that could be redeemed, or the recipient is given the token for the accomplishment, the business could bring it back in for the redemption of, $50 or $100, and, maybe tie it into the incentive, into the reimbursement, or we look at an industry that's taken the hit here in town and they're identified as the recipient that can come back and redeem for a quantifiable dollar amount, just try to tie it into the area, right?
Free
But it has
sandwich from Newport.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Right,
Free ice cream
right.
cone,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be such a big.
No, right. But maybe that can be redeemed by the business owner here
Right.
for a dollar amount that could go back into their business, or,
This could be, the Apple idea could be something cool with, there are a couple new trails and things that just got opened over the
bring people there.
summer, like late summer, a new trail opened with a new piece of property that was donated to the town. So I'm wondering if we could maybe we can touch base with somebody on the land trust and say, hey, is there a map or something of your trails? Can we take a peek at it? Maybe we can formulate an idea on how something like this might work. I don't think we have to do all the details, but just some general, like,
Right.
hey, here's where we think this would work. These are the type of prizes we think would work. This would be the goal of the session. So can we maybe work on that a little bit offline? We can, bring it back.
Yeah, I don't even know if maybe there's somebody in town that might be able to create something. We keep saying Apple, it can be whatever that would signify the town in some way. What's that? Yeah.
Okers.
Something, and maybe somebody in town would be willing to help support as well if they can manufacture something like that.
So Jen, you said something that just kind of triggered a definitely related, but maybe a bigger picture thought. And again, so I'm looking at, while, these are great ideas. I keep on going to, there's so much, we're starting at ground zero with so many things. We should have a map on the website of all the trails, walking and biking, that promotes the town as a place to go walking and biking, and therefore brings people buying gas, sharing across the whole town.
Mhm.
Something that is downloadable on the website. Maybe there's a pamphlet that you can pick up at Parks and Recs, whatever. And then once you have that, then you can use that as, hey, businessman, we want to do a special event on this section of this trail or whatever. I don't know. I feel like there's maybe there's just like a 10,000 foot level piece that will make doing these kind of things a lot easier for us and Parks and Recs and, the trail,
Food,
Jefferson's Trail
right,
is going to
food,
do the
beverage,
apple
gas, and-
or whatever.
yeah.
And then, maybe do you even have, like an adopt a spot, adopt a trail, the business that, and then they can, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cause I like this, but I think it would be, I'm trying to think of it as like, how would it benefit more people?
Right.
And I'm thinking, get people here. I mean, and then we build on our brand identity, right? Because that's one of the things that Ben mentioned, like, Coventry isn't really it's known for a lot of things. And I can say that because I'm from West Warwick, and that's also known for a lot of things too. But kidding aside, this could build off of the image maybe that we want to promote ourselves as. We are, and in my line of business, COVID has opened up. I mean, so outdoor leisure travel is, so airlines are adding flights to there's more flights to Montana than there are people.
Mhm.
I mean, it's crazy. People are seeking this
Mhm.
type of activity. So the timing is good. Resources shouldn't be too much. I mean, I'm sure there's aerial maps and things online that someone who's good at, PDFing and Adobe. I don't know. That's my idea.
I love the idea. And to pursue that idea, you need a good foundation. So you need to have those maps. And while we have some level of GIS, I'm really excited about the new comprehensive plan consultant that we've hired, because they have a phenomenal GIS mapster who's going to just take us to the next level and have all that.
Cool.
You have a good foundation there. Then you can take those maps, and this is where, there's been talk by some council members, at least when I first got here, about interest in communications, because then it's going to take someone to make that brochure, convert it to PDF, make it, someone to be the liaison to those businesses who are going to participate and promote this program, whether that's in from a parks standpoint or an economic development standpoint. So the maps, the communications, and the coordination are your three magic elements to get that, and to advocate that we invest in those pieces, is a good thing to do.
It's sort of like what Connecticut's done to the ice cream trail, to the wine trails, right? All of those trails are all identified very clearly and actually printable. So if you wish to, tour the cheese trail of Eastern Connecticut, and there's a lot of other businesses that aren't quite associated with cheese, but, as you're traveling to do that they kind of like link in some hotels and other places like that, restaurants, and you can print those out fairly easily. Which would be really great here. Yeah. And that is a good point.
And that also allows you to, so sometimes, like, when you're just taking a look at what we have, which again is more than I think a lot of other, especially biking. I live right off Hopkins Hill. Those are bike lanes. Like, there's not a lot of that, around. We have obviously the trail, but once you make that map, we can also look at it and we can say, wow, if we, dedicated the breakdown lane on this little stretch of road, you now connect, and then you build your network,
right? And
I don't know, and then we really can tout ourselves like, like the most bikeable town in Rhode Island or whatever, like things just kind of start to fall in place. So,
and there's that parking ride at the end of Hopkins Hill Road where people could,
literally start, free parking.
Yeah. And then you can do bike runs like Providence. Some friends that go down there every other Friday, and they do these massive bike runs, and then they all go out to local restaurants and bars and kind of split up in Providence and hang out there.
Totally. So anyway.
Rhode Island DEM, they were on the brink of catastrophe in 2019, right? And then all of their headcounts got approved, then some, because of the surge of people, discovering Rhode Island, and discovering all the parks out in Arcadia. And so, but that is a nice tie-in, and probably would be better off saying more about us right now.
I just don't know how everything comes down to resources, but how long, like what does that timeline look like, because I'd hate, I don't want to steer the conversation away. I would love to see this, so I don't know, do we look to do some, do we look to make a recommendation, or I don't know, I'm not looking for an answer. It's a hypothetical question. Okay, fair enough.
These events specifically come down to a question of resources and who's going to do it. And if you don't have volunteers to do it, then you're looking to staff. If staff don't have the resources and support to even function with the basic programs that we have, we're not really in a position to add new programs. And then you're back to looking to, these are great ideas, who's going to do it? They're nice ideas at one level that it can be stimulating and fulfilling, but not enough to be someone's business enterprise.
Right.
It's not like a niche in the market to go fill. So I think that's what your struggle is going to be in how, as an economic development commission, do all these ideas line up with your goals of stimulating the economy? Is this feasible? Is it affordable? And do we have someone who can do it? So if you found one that you were passionate about and you were willing to go to the town council and lobby them, we just need $50,000 to be put into this program because that will develop this person, this resource to then make all these other programs happen, and we'll build on that, and then there will be revenue streams that can circle back, or however, but that's my problem, is how is it going to be sustainable? Is there a revenue that the town can collect to offset these costs? Is this going to be taxpayer funded and supported, or is that going to be business contributions? Do you as business owners really want to make a voluntary contribution after the already significantly high tax bill you're paying? Like, why am I paying taxes and then being asked for donations?
So is that us that decide some of these things, or like, I thought you had said we kind of bring the idea. So
the more you can develop the idea and do the work for the council, the easier it will be for them to grapple with. If your idea is, we're going to just give it to the town manager to figure it out in the budget, then that's going to fall in with the other priorities the town council wants me to take on.
In the stack already.
Or just say add it to the pile.
I think so if I could just say that when we were first here, and I think when we were here again for the second time, brilliant ideas, right? Brilliant ideas that we absolutely should not lose, and to share ideas at this meeting, and maybe a subset is going to be great. But as you defined today, that you're very excited about this new
the GIS,
new GIS plan and stuff. So I think as we are more engaged in those developments that are happening, we provide the guidelines when the RFPs are identified, because I just feel like if we continue to throw out these ideas, Ben's been wonderful with explaining. So if we brought this idea to the table, what that entails, and I don't think any of us here at the capacity to execute something like that or bring it onto our plate. So I just think that as these new, as this town becomes more organized with a great town council, a great new town manager, that we just ensure that the business development piece is always on the forefront. And I don't want to put ideas like on the back burner, but I just feel like it's been said time and time again that great ideas are great, but there's been so many shortcomings with staffing, and and I don't think the business community, as behalf of one, can really sustain another knock on the door for anything else. and the things in which the business community has been knocked on the door to do through previous town councils, from banners that have wrapped up and blown away to so many, maybe at one point great ideas, but the business community doesn't want to take on anything else that the town executes because of the execution being so poor. So I think I don't want to fall into that road and get the stigma attached to this great group.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is, but so many things are falling apart because it was left on the business owners to execute. It was thrown at the town managers, whoever they were. It was thrown to the town council member, and it just never came through well. So I think we really got to
just. Where do we start in that mindset, right? I struggle with.
So
some
that's
here
been
and-
the struggle.
Can I reflect a
Yes, please.
question? We just had a 7-hour strategic planning session on Saturday, and all of the departments expressed their lacks and their frustrations and what's impeding them from taking this town forward. And so from an economic development standpoint, you talk about doing bike routes and bike lanes and bike this, but the town went 5 years without putting a single dollar into roads as far as real road construction. Patching potholes just barely keeps you going, but how important are quality roads to a successful business environment? That's a 1-for-1 that you could advocate and say, the town council cut its capital improvements budget from the budget last year to keep the levy rate at 2.99%. But then we're not getting any roads put in. How many businesses rely on having good roads in that infrastructure? Another big one for COVID funds would be investing in fiber optic high-speed internet to every door. I'm going to be meeting with Verizon and Cox and talking both of them about what does your map look like and where are the holes? Because I have no sense of, whether that is a needed investment or unneeded and where it would need to go. So those are conversations about, as an economic development commission, we want internet before roads, or roads, then internet, then programs. However we build this capacity to, what is it going to take for more businesses to flourish? If it's just foot traffic, then we can do festivals. If it's, we want
I've been saying
thrift
all
stores
along,
and being the
it's-
thrift store capital of Rhode Island, but not the dollar store capital of Rhode Island.
We might be
sounds
both
familiar,
soon.
man. Where'd you pull
We
that
could be
idea
both
from?
soon, the
No.
way I see things.
So
So
I feel that I've been saying it all along.
Yeah.
The infrastructure. So I
Of
believe
course.
this group was put together at the most brilliant time, as the most unique situation that we've encountered with the COVID relief monies that the town has been allocated and will continue, that we ensure that is pushed to grow this community further, both residentially and more importantly, business-wise, because we're at such a shortcoming with Route 3 and other aspects of this town. I just read yesterday where there's a $30 million investment in West Warwick at the old mills, which is going to bring in restaurants and breweries. And my God, such a phenomenal announcement, right? And, here we are wishing for all that, but, the sewer won't go down the street in order to sustain that. So I think we really have to focus
But
on.
we've also finished
infrastructure.
rehabbing all of our mills, so we're technically ahead of them. All of our old mills have already been.
Right. Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
touche,
I know.
Westport.
I know. Right.
But point taken. I digress.
Correct. No. I know that. That's great. That's great. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I wish they had gone.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm very excited to be part of this, and I just feel that with this unique allotment of funds, we have to just start with ensuring that infrastructure is built. And I think I've said it several times, that we just have to take the ideas and speed them, but park it and let them until the infrastructure piece is just better put in place.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we can execute anything without Parks and Rec, anything along that line. I don't feel comfortable standing behind a festival because I just think that's worthless personally. But these great ideas, I think, are being executed in better towns that, with all due respect, have better
We are together, yeah.
infrastructures, organizations put together, and it's easy to pull that through because they have all the resources, right? You're just getting your hands around the needs and the wants, and I just feel like,
I mean, there's some things that you could do with it would be a very low cost investment to get 20 acorns fabricated, even if they're $200 a pop. It's okay, for a couple $1,000 we can put out so many on these trails, and maybe we anchor them so they're just, you go find, take a picture of it, QR code it, whatever, and maybe we can move them and relocate them. We could do something that it's a smaller investment, under $10,000, and make it happen. And then you have something that you can tout, that you can promote, that you can give some level of buzz and interest in the business community. And you can have businesses opt in and pay advertising to be on the route, to have ads pop up on the QR code. I mean, all these things that could become an inner dynamic that's self-sustaining for a very low investment. And maybe that's something I could do with the existing staff. It all depends on the level of administration.
We need to put something together, though.
Doug is on and raised his hand a few times. So just
thank
at
you.
some point,
We're not paying attention.
thank you.
I will.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
I'm
off.
glad you're looking, because I,
No. Allowed to talk. Doug, we
Hello,
didn't,
Doug, you're on mute, but you are.
Oh, there I am. You can hear me okay?
No,
yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Hey, great to see you guys, and great meeting. I'm glad to sit in from afar on this. Ben, that was right up. Well, I had my hand up, yes, for a while. Thanks for acknowledging that. I'd circle back to the other points earlier, but I won't do that here. I was just thinking that just along those lines, Ben, on the trails, I had that kind of typed down, was to have businesses, sponsor some of the trails or get involved with that, so they get into that. I think part of what we could try to do is maybe revitalize a chamber of commerce, and they might be able to take on some of these other projects that came up with the Apple Walk and so on, and trying to bring together some of those events and tie in the Rotaries and the Elks clubs and get the civic organizations behind a lot of those great ideas. Or we could refocus back on the infrastructure ideas too, because the chamber, when it was active, was very instrumental in doing a lot with the community, and obviously connecting businesses with each other. But I think that's a good, I don't know if we can work on that or if that's something worth addressing or not.
good ideas.
As far as establishing a chamber of commerce for the area, is that, how would one, or how does that even begin? I know that
It's real. Yeah, it's really up to businesses. It's just, I mean,
I see.
It's starting your own club.
pretty much.
Okay.
And it can be as super informal as that. And then your club members, you start with the first 5 and you say, okay, well, I'm willing to kick in $500. Anyone else? And you get a budget, and you develop, and you get brochures, and then you promote, and then you get other people to join. And
Okay, it's as easy as that.
yeah.
So there's, I think there's at least one or two other items on here that we may end up looping together, but having something that we present to the council to say, these are the types of things that we want to see in town. And this is how something generally would work. Here are some ideas to bring revenue into the town. Here are ways to provide maintenance to the trails, because we know that maintenance in this town is a problem, getting the money for that. So kind of putting a proposal together on something like that to say, these are things that we want to see. This is a possible way to do this, or budget that could be allocated, or we're asking for you to look at how we fund this, in the next upcoming budget, something like that. That's the type of recommendation that we and they are going to want to see. So, and that can include a couple things on here. So I think it's going to go into the next item as well, but I don't want to bring up an idea and then just kind of totally parking lot it. Something like this, where there's a possible opportunity to bring in revenue, like on the trails and things like that. If there's a way that we can kind of work together and put a suggestion together, recommendation together to bring to the council, then that certainly can be reviewed with them. We don't have to figure out every single piece.
But we also need to know
But the ROI too.
where Ben is with it, right? So I mean, just to use my example, since we were talked about it. Marketing stuff we already have, not talking about building anymore. You know, we need the roads first, all in on that. But we have assets now that are attractive enough to bring people from, even if it's the next town over, to spend their money in Coventry. So like what we need to understand, you know, so that's great. You have this new mapping, but are there shortcomings that we could then say, hey, council, you need to make sure Ben has these resources to make sure that we have the best maps and the best website tools, so that way we can market what we have right now without spending another dime to bring people here.
That could be part of
I don't know.
That could be part of the recommendation then.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that kind of what you're
Yes.
thinking? All right. I just
So
want to
we-
make sure I'm on the same page.
I think we just want to, anything that we think would be a good idea that we really want to see for next year, or recommendations on how to use COVID funds or any of that, we just need to put forth in a way that says, you know, these are the things that this group thinks are important. We want you to consider this for either budget or possible prioritization with the town manager, that type of thing.
Marketing and using the power of the internet to get people here. Our website should have all that stuff on there. It's a one-time investment, and then you have to maintain the content. And it gets people here, because that's what people do. They Google everything. Walking trails, we want to be right on the top. Bike trails, Coventry. And then they come here.
Maybe this is a good one to move into the next one, because this is another very specific item that will go to the
Yeah.
to the council.
Okay. So discussion about creating an RFP for the business consulting for the town of Coventry, right? So we've discussed it, identify Coventry's best business related assets and how to market them to new businesses and or existing and or new traffic. Is there a template in which proposals have been provided to the council for review with an ROI, you know, I mean, prospective budget, ROI, or if we were to come together with what you had said, you know, is there any like formalized template that, no, okay.
No.
That would just
But
better help to get
this one
some
for
of the things.
RFP, we wouldn't write the RFP. What we
Correct.
would do is we would say, we think there's value in having a professional group help highlight what we think is important. One question I would have is, I don't think the comp plan is going to highlight this. I think the comp plan is going to say the feedback from residents on the type of community we think we are, or what we want to be. But I think what we're asking for in E is, can someone help us define what we really have currently?
Correct.
Do you just mean like a list of businesses, or what? I guess I'm not grouping it. I guess I'm not understanding exactly what the business related assets and how to market them.
We also had talked about, you know, hiring that consulting company, which I think you've already said that is in progress. Is there a future, or is there a consulting group that has been identified, or are you looking into one?
We have multiple consultants working for the town right now on different projects, so it's project specific.
Very project.
We have one
specific.
doing a performance audit, and they're going to be here tomorrow to start interviewing folks. We've
Okay.
got another one for the comp plan. It's just I'm not sure what you're looking for the business consultant to tell you that you know, because if we want to know what our best business related assets are, it's going to be roads, sewer capacity, and land. We're a rural community. We have space to grow. We lack sewers extending down Route 3 to New Snag Hill Road to really open up all that industrial commercial land for development.
Okay.
And that's what a consultant's going to tell you is like, there's your opportunity. That's where you need to invest. You're not going to see a lot of business investment around Tioga Lake. It's pretty congested, pretty limited, lack of sewers. And some of this is more intuitive. I think you could get a lot of free information. I don't know, does Rhode Island have a Department of Commerce or business
Something
development.
similar, yeah.
They must.
The-
Yeah.
So
But
my
sometimes
view on
it's-
this is different though, so
True, too. And I think
My-
we're on the same page. You're trying to
my
identify
view here
existing.
is identify the existing, what are the best items in town that we could use to market ourselves? Not the fact that we don't have sewer along Route 3, but
Right.
what do we have?
Well,
And
I was
having a-
focusing, we have land for development.
Yeah, no,
That's
but I'm
enough.
saying
Right.
the
But how can
suggestion
we tie
here,
back into your idea of looking at existing assets?
the idea
immediately?
here is to have some sort of
Mm.
professional who does some type of possible comparative analysis, comes in and says, these are, 5 areas that compared to the places around you, people should come here for you for the following reasons versus these other groups or these other towns or whatever that is.
Correct.
Or even, I mean, again, I think we talked about this in the very beginning too, but what are our open spaces? Like, what are buildings that are available and empty?
Yeah, we talked
And
about, that
why
was
is,
high on
like,
my
a
list, my first.
on the
yeah.
EDC website that, and we don't have it, so it's not like we can just put it there, but those are the things that I would be looking for.
Yes. So these are all,
So I think these
are all foundation
Two
building.
different-
Well,
two different things, but Jen was talking about
Yeah.
looking at hiring a professional company to look at existing assets
Yeah.
and market existing attributes,
Yeah, I mean, I
To
don't know
get
if it's a
traffic in now.
consultant company, a marketing company, I
an
don't know.
engineer or
Yeah, I
So what,
don't know.
what,
It's
what
a
do you, what do you,
market.
what do you
It's a market.
consider assets? Like community assets, like we have a Lake
Our
Tyler.
trails,
our
so for
trails,
example, do we have more trails than anybody in a 50-mile radius? I don't know.
right,
I literally have no idea compared to all of the surrounding towns around us.
West Greenwich or East Greenwich or
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the
it's
town?
this is a classic marketing study. So
Okay.
I've been through several of them, and that's what they do. They come in and
You're looking
they,
at key attributes that
What-
you
what-
can expand on now.
Yeah.
Current assets.
Current
Yes.
in the condition they are,
yeah,
just everything, just looking at a
what makes you
snapshot
marketable?
and what makes you different than the communities around you. And how would that interest others to come
So
here
like,
and invest and
Capacity for growth around
enjoy-
the center of New England. We have a business development sector that,
well, not so much for people to invest, but people to come here to enjoy,
No,
who
I
then
think
in
both.
turn, or
I
both
think
too.
both.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because if we have the most bike trails in Rhode Island, then
So
you're somebody who owns a bike store, you're gonna want to come set up shop somewhere near here.
Okay.
So I think it's both.
Great. Okay.
so
Yeah.
it could be a marketing, so believe it or not, I mean, again, not to, I'll pull from what I know. We've been doing it at the airport. It's basically a real estate. I think it was Hayes and Cherry, and they came in and it's like when you sell a house, they comped everything around it, and this is
Mhm.
why, this is what's available, this is why it's great, this is what it's near. I mean, some of the stuff we know, I mean, we're close to the highway, like, some of the stuff will be like, yeah, we knew that, but that's okay, because they're gonna compile it all, and they're gonna give you a really nice PowerPoint that the town, we can all use to develop business, bring people here. And then again, you're gonna discover lots of little things that you'll like you said, like, wow, I didn't know we had that many miles of, bike trails or whatever. And then here we go, like that's now that's something that we can give to Ben and his team, and they can go out and bring in people, whether it be for the day, for lunch, or on a 30-year lease.
Okay.
Right? Is that, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
And we
good.
I
don't-
love that.
And we
idea.
don't have to write the RFP or anything. I think as we're talking about this list of recommendations we have, this would be one of those items that we say, we think that you should consider, I don't know, in the 2022, 2023 budget, we think you should consider allotting, $25,000 to do a marketing study on all of the current assets that would be marketable to new businesses in Coventry, something like
Yeah.
that.
Listen, there's a reason why there's 33 or 35,000 people who live here. I mean, there's an attractiveness to Coventry. It's not, as some residents may want you to feel, it's not that bad. It's a nice place, and we know that, but how do we exude that? So I love this idea.
And I think a lot of environmentalists that live in this town that don't want to see development, whether or not, but when we can
Yeah.
identify the rural aspects
Yeah.
and then the money's, turn into restoring and maintaining them, I think you might gain some respect and right? I mean, there's always this concern here in town that,
Yeah.
that they don't want this developed, not developed, and they
course.
want to be rural, but then again, things don't get managed correctly, maintenance. And so I think if we bring in, if this creates awareness to those precious areas that they like and they're sustained, and I think it would help curve them from their concerns. I think people just want things to stay the way they are because they're just concerned about the change. Well, no, I
That's
just
always
think
the
of,
contradiction. Do you want growth or anti-growth?
correct. But I think people, and I've said this before as a lifelong resident in like third or fourth generation, that the execution of change has not been very good. So, and that, so people would rather it just not happen than happen poorly or happen incorrectly, or, you know,
That's why we need the data.
exactly.
Now we
Right,
have the
you
RFP.
need the
Exactly,
data, you're
exactly.
right.
And I think
It
this
is
is a
data.
fantastic
We
idea.
have to get, we have to figure out what we're working with. I mean, not to pat myself up, but that's where I came in after listening to Ben, and
Maintaining.
we've got to find the starting point. Like, what is the starting point? And there's so many places that we could all guess and probably would be right, but maybe it is good to have an outside eye to come in and compile something and be like, here is what's good and marketable. And then you build off of that.
Correct.
And then, we know what streets don't have sewer and don't have high speed, that's great. And then, you work on making that part better, but then all the while, there's nothing stopping us from bringing in, again, like, one more family that comes in for lunch on a Saturday is economic development. If they found out that there's this cool new restaurant, or there's a great place that's been there for a long time that everyone else loves, and they tried it, then we're doing our job. We're doing our part, bringing people here. And we've got to get that message out there.
So I just want to do a quick time check, because I think last time we said we were going to try and like cut it to 90 minutes. Are we trying for that again tonight?
Yeah, no, I think it's just respecting everyone's time after. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But does everyone just agree with the idea that we've been sort of expunging on? And
So how about this? Because to be honest, I didn't realize H was on here.
But that ties into what we just discussed too.
I think all of these things are going to tie into that.
Correct.
And also with the COVID items. So I think maybe we've already kind of discussed H, hopefully, but maybe we can discuss a timeline. But
and
all
I think,
of the items,
Tim, you've sort of tapped on G about, sort of expanding on some of the existing website components.
I think we just need to start making a list of items that we think we should bring forward.
Okay.
The Apple idea, the RFP, the possible business consulting marketing review. And then after we look at the COVID items, if there's anything we want to include on that to the council, and then we make the list, and then we move forward from there.
Okay. And
I
I
think
guess
One of the research items we could do is just Google RFP business, a marketing study, a municipal marketing study or something. I know there's a bunch of companies out there that do consulting. Some of them have programs. It's a 3-year program. It's $50,000 a year. And at the end of the 3 years, you're going to have all this market data and all these things. And it depends on the town, whether it's worth it and which model you want to go for and what your budget is. But
we got to be careful.
But looking at other towns' RFPs that they've done, you can start to become more aware of what the options are, and then tailoring those ideas to what you see as Coventry's needs.
It all comes down to what goes in the scope. You have to be on something like this. It's easy for it to become gigantic.
in multi-year.
Luckily for us, we know that the starting point is very basic. I mean, we really don't have, the information that Ben's team, I think, needs in some cases to begin. I mean, if you don't know what you got, it's tough to build off of it. So for this
asset assessment,
it's just identifiable areas of strength.
Yep.
That kind of stuff.
We do business licenses in this town. I don't know to what extent. I don't think every business necessarily has a license or needs one, but at least that's a list that we could start, and we could, if I had the staff time to select, sort, and composite and categorize, and then we could say, okay, you know, 30% of our businesses are construction, 47% are, you know,
Yeah.
restaurant or food
Yeah,
service.
food beverage.
I mean, it would be interesting to know what we have in our portfolio now. If the business license goes back far enough, you could do it by how long they've been in town. Maybe that's something we have in the business licenses as a question, but there's a lot of data that we may already have that we could mine and analyze. But again, that's an effort that
But maybe that's
would need to be made a
included,
priority. in order
maybe
to-
that's included in the scope.
Yeah.
I mean,
correct.
you can, that's what I'm saying, you can determine
Yeah.
whether you have the staff
can have
resources
the-
or not.
Have
Here,
the consultant do
you know,
it.
it's like, here's the
Here's the
file,
data.
like, go through it.
But I still think, just to your point, is just looking at existing assets and how do you market that appropriately
we're
to all
gonna-
parties of interest, right? Revenue stream.
We
future
will learn
investors,
so much about answering all these questions about what we should be
and how
going after.
effective that idea
Just
is
by
being, and
knowing.
where and
You're gonna see it, you get to the report, I'm saying, we're gonna see, like, can you believe this? Wow, like, it's actually exciting, and you say, well, wow, this is much lower a percentage than I would have thought, and this is much higher, and why is that? And then, you really get those creative juices flowing, and, so I'm getting ahead of myself.
but no, that's a great idea.
I can take the action to start to draft up in PowerPoint.
Okay.
Um,
Of requirements for this
things-
recommendation or this proposal.
Things that we-
Recommendations, yeah.
just the
Okay.
recommendations.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Thank
I
you,
love
that's great.
PowerPoint.
Okay.
So I believe we've covered the following. So responsibilities of the EDC. All right, so proposal, so a check-in with new businesses after they're approved by the town council for licenses.
So
That's
this
right,
is-
I'm sorry,
This is a
something that
new
we-
proposal, yeah, so.
That's right.
So here's the thing, when we met last time, I said I was gonna reach out to a couple businesses and see, what their experiences were. They either didn't get back to me or basically said, okay, but I don't really have time. So what I'm hoping to do is for any business that comes out and gets an approved license or whatever, and literally in just the last few
me.
meetings from the town council, we have names of businesses. Having someone from EDC check in with them to say, hey, I'm on the Economic Development Committee. We just started a few months ago. Are there any areas that you think we should look at? How was your experience? Things
Great
like that.
learning, great learning.
You can never get enough information.
Yep.
And that also kind of comes to, hopefully what we'll find out of that is, did they have a problem in the experience, such as, oh,
Correct.
your laws on your signage didn't work out for me? Because
Right.
I'm not getting a lot of luck asking people who I know had a problem, getting time from them, frankly. So I'm hoping that this would somehow kind of kill two birds by us reaching out.
I would love to take that action item and maybe, garner some respect from a fellow business owner about that too. Maybe they'd be less maybe not as hesitant.
Yeah,
to
I don't know
reply
if it's because
back
it's
to-
me or if, you know what I
No,
mean?
no, or
So-
maybe just you in position or position association and
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
don't want to go,
Well,
but
that's the thing.
maybe
I'm
if I
like,
could
we
solve
need
it.
another way to get in there because
Right.
they're not responding. to
if
me.
that's information that you can share with me, I'd be more than happy to reach out and any contact information that you tried
And then
successfully or not.
how
Any
about
issues
for
with
these new
privacy?
businesses? So
Yeah, is there
Any privacy issues that you can think of? Okay.
No, I mean, they're.
The-
new
the
No, this is a
business-
great idea. I just don't
Yeah.
want to open up unintended
So how'd you get
consequences.
my information?
Why are you
Yeah,
calling
we
me?
don't-
Who are you with?
we don't need
Yeah.
to stalk them or anything, but
No,
no,
It's all- it's all
Right.
public information.
I just
Okay.
want to make sure we
Okay.
don't get in trouble.
so
I'm good at that.
okay. So Ben, is this something that we could I don't know, reach out to yourself or Joanne for contact information, like on the last, maybe we'll just start from, the last 30 days or something, because I know we approved a few stores, like Baked just got approved a few weeks ago. There was a thrift store that was approved.
been working
There are a bunch
on
of
things.
victualling licenses that were reapproved.
Mhm.
And we could even just say, I know this is an annual process for you, but is there anything else, that kind of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
are there any challenges you face with?
Yeah,
Great.
so I can pull my meeting minutes from the last couple of weeks and propose some of those businesses.
Okay.
So Craig, maybe I can work with you offline on
I would
this
be
and I'll get a
more than happy
list
to. Thank you.
that I can CC you on. I'll send it over to Ben/Joanne.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice touch too. I mean, not everyone
It is.
will appreciate it as much, but people will appreciate it, I think.
Hopefully, yeah.
I
And
think-
hopefully we'll
I
get
think
some
so.
information.
Yeah.
That's really what we need.
And I think we're tying into H. I believe we're going to be working on that, right? You and I were going to put together our first proposal or recommendation template.
Yep.
That we can work with. Okay. There's no public
Oh, wait,
comment.
are we gonna do
Sorry.
G?
Well, G, I think we discussed was going to tie into
Yeah.
what we already.
Oh, there
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my understanding is for website changes, we can come up with something and just send it
Just-
over, right? To get it
Yeah.
approved.
To Ben, and then just it goes over to Cody, I think in IT.
I don't know who was gonna put
if
it
it's
in there,
approved.
but
I believe Cody might have mentioned that
He
if we
did
had
mention
any,
it.
yeah, if there's any suggestions that we have to enhance the website, just to provide them to Cody, maybe
And I-
with approval or evaluation through Ben to
I want to say
work
he
with.
listened to some of the recordings and made some changes already because
on fly.
Oh,
when
cool.
I,
nice.
when I had gone in there, there was a lot more information than what we previously had.
Right.
Oh, cool.
He's a good resource.
I have to temper
Did he do that, or
myself.
am I
He's
making
gonna
that
hate
up?
me real quick.
Don't even know.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's great.
He did
He's
know,
conscientious,
he
and
was
I-
very forthcoming, yeah, and he said, please, you know,
That's
any
the
way
kind
I
of
can.
employees we want around here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
I went on maybe mid last week and I was really impressed with what
That's
I
great.
saw versus what I originally saw when we started.
Yeah, I had him update the town manager's page today when I added the link for Saturday's strategic planning slides. Had 124 slides you sat through.
It was worth it.
That was good. But yeah, so
You still know?
I know. It was
You feel
a
it?
long section.
No.
It was a long section.
All right, there is no public comment
well,
based
there's
on,
always public comment. Is there
Oh,
anyone
sorry.
here that would like to comment?
Yeah, you can just
Correct.
open it.
okay, we're gonna open the meeting to public comment.
There do
That's
not
an
appear
NA.
to any
Okay.
present.
All right. All right, we're going
Okay.
to settle this meeting at 7:46 PM. Motion by,
Oh, I'll second the motion.
and Aaron. And vote to close.
Aye.
Aye,
Right.
Aye.
excellent. Thank you, everyone. Doug, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Doug.
Good to see you all and great meeting. Good
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Thank you.
See you at the next one.